Welcome back to the Fullerton College Pre-Press Combined Print 75-77 class. This is your professor, Ben Hewitt, and we're going to look at tracing out an airplane again this time. Last time, it turns out, I forgot to share the correct screen when I was tracing this, and so I had to edit that video down to just the games I was showing you. Here it is with the actual tracing. As a reminder, this photo of this plane, this beautiful Glamorous Glen Bell X-1, first supersonic plane ever, is up against a marble backdrop wall inside the museum it's hanging in. The wall has a lot of veins and texture to it, which means the magic wand tool is going to have nothing but trouble trying to select it to get rid of it. Also, not to mention the shadows that the structure of the building are throwing on it through a giant window. So there's no way you're going to be able to magic wand this accurately. So let's take a look at how the pen tool works on this. The good news is the pen tools, as we've kind of discussed in person on Zoom, use the Bezier curves, and that type of math is the same type of math that defines the shapes of airplanes. When they first built planes, once they start getting into aerodynamics and designing them to be streamlined and faster, they were using this type of math and curvature to define the shape that these planes needed to be to fly as fast as they did and to stay in the air as they did. So lucky for us who are using the pen tool, we have a tracing tool that uses the same type of line quality that was defined, although they had to do it by hand, that defined these aircraft. And still today, planes are still designed using the same types of curves. It's just done by computer, just like us. Anyways, the point is, if you want to practice tracing things that are kind of easy to trace, but still high reward and fun looking, also I love airplanes, use airplane pictures. Because the planes were designed using Bezier math, you're gonna be able to get an accurate trace out without having to make the hard decisions of what part of the squirrel's fur do you stop tracing. They're hard-edged, and the curves are graceful and smooth, and again, defined by the same kind of math. So let me get started here. I won't trace the whole plane in front of you because I've learned from Martha Stewart on her cooking shows that you don't actually want to show the whole time it takes to bake a turkey. Nobody wants to watch an oven on TV for 4 hours. So we'll get you started, and I'll switch to the end so you can see the great finish here. And we'll jump over to the challenge mode toothbrush. So part of the strategy that I do as I'm looking to create a pen tool clipping path is I look for a natural joint, someplace where it's roughly 2 straight lines meeting in a corner. So find a good happy corner to start in. For me on this plane, it's right here at the wing root. The first line I'll start on is a nice easy one. The wing, these straightish, not perfectly straight, but these very straight wings have very little to do. So it's just one mostly straight line. And actually, let me zoom in so you can see my landing point here. Come in to where the aileron is slightly depressed, click, drag that side up a little bit, and then hold down Option to let me adjust the leaving side just to give me enough of a curve to go around the outside edge of the wing there on the wing tip. I'm also going to bring that back in so I get the right quality here. Drop a line. Sometimes it's good to put a line in the middle of a curve with 2 handlebars equally on them, like this, down to the front of the wing here on the leading edge, around the pilot tube. Whenever I land on one of these corner points, if there's no curve, I can just click, click, click. But this one, I'm not just going to click because that little piece on top has a slight curved edge, you can see. So I'm going to click here. Whoops. Keep it straight, hold down Option, and my leaving line will have a handle to it so that I can get that curve with just the right amount of curvature. So click on it and drag it till you get the curvature. Again, you can use your rubber band to kind of preview where it's going to go. And then from here, whoops, I didn't hit Option fast enough. I'm going to go ahead and choose to there, straight down to the middle of that line. Click here, 2 handles is fine. Here, 2 handles, but that other handle, I'm going to Option to go straight back. A single click takes me back to the wing. I'm going to get to the front of the fuselage, and then I will jump ahead to the finished picture for you in a moment here, because it gets tedious to watch. So I'm following the entire leading edge of this wing all the way to the fuselage, and there's another hard corner here. So I can just do a single click to make that whole line one line. Now I'm going to quickly scan ahead. I believe from my last time I did this, there is a slight little blister for some cockpit equipment here. So I'm only going to click to that point from here. Now I've drawn a straight line through, and we're going to use the bend method. Whoa, 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 whoa. The zoom on this is a little wonky right now. Use the bend method to, whoops, There we go. Draw that curve out, bang it into place. There we go. To get that graceful curve, that bullet-shaped fuselage just right. And we're back. Here we are. I just finished tracing the whole plane. You didn't have to watch me tediously do every single bit of the contour of it, although it's a beautiful shape to trace, let me tell you. Love this plane. So I have the path totally drawn and closed. Don't forget, you can't delete the background if it is the background. So we're going to change the layer name to layer 0. Going to take the pen tool, right click inside and say make selection to get our marching ants around the edge. Feather radius is 0. There's no fur or fuzzy edge we're trying to do. This is a hard edged object made out of metal. Now we got our marching ants. If I delete, I cut out the plane, and that's kind of the opposite of what I'm trying to do here. So let's go to select inverse or shift command I, and then you can delete the background. And you can see now, especially if we just flatten image, go layer, flatten image, or if we add a different, flatten the image is not the best idea actually. Never mind. You could flatten the image, but we're going to make a new layer behind. Layer 1 is fine. Drag it below, and on this layer, we're going to take the paint bucket tool and drop white, so you can just see it isolated. You see that we have a crisp, perfect line, and although this was a high quality photo with pretty good pixels in it, this is much better. Now by doing this, we have a perfectly smooth, crisp vector edge all the way around this gorgeous, gorgeous airplane. You think I'm excited about this one? You should see me talking about tracing out a Spitfire with that beautiful swooping elliptical wing. Anyways, American wings are always kind of stubby like this back in the days. Modern American planes look a little bit better. So this thing is now traced. Let's switch over to our last challenge here. And now let's take a look at challenge mode. This is a much more difficult thing to trace in an airplane. Airplanes were built to be traced. These toothbrushes take a real contender. Let's take a look at how to trace one of these real quick. Because this is where I cut my teeth, where I earned my, whatever you call them, earned my stripes, got my chops really figured out, was doing toothbrushes for a dental supply company. You can take your own choice of how masochistic you want to be with this, but I'll show you a slightly simplified one just for the sake of time, because don't doubt for a second that I would be able to go in here, maybe I will do a little bit of that, and do some fine work to really define individual bristles. Hopefully this doesn't take too long. I know watching someone else pen tool is not the most exciting thing, but let me show you my strategy for dealing with something like this, which is a nightmare if you don't know how to drive a pen tool. If you guys can do toothbrushes, you are certifiably unstoppable with the pen tool. This is about the hardest thing I've ever worked with, other than people and animals, which can be tricky. People at least have the decency most of the time to cover themselves in nice free-flowing clothing, which is a lot easier than trying to do fur. Fur is hard. Okay, let's go ahead and grab our pen tool here. As you might, pen tool, I'm not in it, am I? Pen tool here. As you might have guessed, I'm going to start with a corner somewhere, a little crossroads. So right down here on the toothbrush head where the first blue bristles start, there's a little gap in here where the head stops, and there's our corner. The beginning of this is fairly easy. We just go up the thing. There's a slight concave curve. That's fun to say, concave curve. And then you come up to the top. Now, the secret to doing these is to make sure you kind of make a V with your little handles at the top. So even if I'm fabricating this and it's not exactly truthful, you can see that I'm able to create roughly the shape that the toothbrush bristles should be making. You can also use this to somewhat correct the edges of things here and there, which should have been done better than they are. Sometimes with these things, depending on the resolution of the photo that you've been given, and also depending on the level of JPEG compression that's been applied, you may not have a very clear edge. So sometimes you have to make it up a little bit. This is where you use that artistic license of yours. I got mine out of the back of a cereal box, just like my driver's license. I wrote my name on it, and now it's mine, and I'm licensed. So I'm going to zoom out when I'm not doing a close-in detail. Go down here, click, click, click. And this whole thing here, the white one, can be a little bit more forgiving. The teal colored one I'm going to call solid. There's a little bit of a background one there that wants to be done. I'm being a little bit sloppy because I know that I'm being timed on this video. So forgive me some of these shortcuts I'm taking that I shouldn't. You at least have that one first head of blue bristles to really show what could be done with this. Whoa, wrong button. There we go. Okay, about done with the head here. All the bristles are done. The neck of this is like the airplane, a nice, easy sloping curve. No problems there for the pen tool. It loves it. Back down for level 2 of insanity. We're going to come underneath here. And at first, it's kind of a solid mass. And we're just going to kind of do some bubblies. But pretty soon, you get into more of an individual nubbins kind of look here. Or I guess if you're more in the sci-fi movie business, greeblies. Everybody likes greebles. Star Wars is made out of greebles. Whoops, misstep. It's also hard to determine what is the brush and what is the reflected surface below it. But at some point, you're going to have to make those calls yourself. You're the human with the brain capable of discerning these things. Computers, for all we've tried to do with them, still don't have the same level of recognition the human computer does. You guys are far better at determining what is and what isn't an object. That's one of the strengths of the human mind. Almost there. Just hold them off for a few more seconds. Ooh, holy JPEG Batman. I can see some JPEGery going on over here. Finish out this head. Onto that. Adjust that last one a little bit. So there you have, whoop, the path. I'm going to make that selection. I'm not going to feather the edge. I'm going to make that a layer 0. Invert my selection. Delete that background. Here, my friends, is a toothbrush fully traced out. Why is this important as a skill? This is how you do images for catalogs and brochures. People will take a picture of a product, and you can't take a picture in front of nothing. You have to take a picture in front of something. So here you go. This also, for those of you who were with me last semester, I'm really glad you were with me last semester, and we were among the last people on Earth to visit the Getty back when it was open. And we got to go down and see their image center down in the basement in their restoration sections. And they do this kind of work with a pen tool when they're creating and overlaying images of their collections, especially the physical collections. When they're photographing 18th century armoires and overstuffed chairs and complex tapestries from around the world, this is the sort of thing they have to do to get those edges and to choose where it belongs. So let me zoom in on this a little bit just to show off my work. Zoom in, you can see that I've created those toothbrush bumps along the top. If I really wanted to be picky, and sometimes I do, this would be a place to use the background eraser tool, and you could come back and tell it you want to get rid of that yellowishness from that background. Whoops, I'm on the wrong layer. Get rid of that kind of yellowish color, and that will then erase the kind of spot where we missed a little bit. So that gets rid of that green edge to make it look more purely blue. Do the same thing right here. You can go through and do that, or you could do a better job tracing in the first place. But anyways, the toothbrush I present you. I'll bet you guys can do better. You can spend more time on it than I could in the video here. But yeah, this is what I learned on. This is what I used to have to do. Toothbrushes all the time. Not the funnest, not the easiest, but darn are you good at this when you're done. Anyways, thanks for watching and letting me show off to you for 15 minutes in a video. Please stay tuned for more content from our course, and I will be getting you more projects and more demos as soon as I can.